we have mainly built 4 divides in our contemporary evangelical congregational preaching, which I think are based on tradition, not necessarily on biblical foundation. The first one would be a divide in the audience we are communicating or preaching to in our weekly gatherings as a church. Tends to be we either preach to Christians, and that seems to be the expectation we have for our services. We are mainly trying to communicate, edify Christians, or we preach or communicate to non-Christians, which tend to happen in evangelistic, apologetic events, or specific events developed by the congregation. A second divide I would observe is in the content that we are preaching. And we seem to often think, and even our homiletical literature, I think, focuses on that. We are preaching the Bible to Christians. And then we preach Christ to non-Christians. And I think we are causing a dichotomy, a divide in the content that we are preaching. In third place, I think we also have created a divide in the application of apologetics. So we are increasingly using apologetics outside the life of the church, but it's not often embraced in our communication, in our preaching for the gathered audience on a Sunday service, for example. And finally, I would highlight a dichotomy or a divide in our contextualization. And we tend to use a set of language, framework, arguments for our communication, our preaching and teaching in our church services, which tends to be very different from the ones we use to communicate with non-Christians, let's say in special events, evangelistic initiatives. And I think that's another divide we could question as well.